You guys know me and how much I love obscure trivia. Not just when it comes to lost stuff no one's ever heard about, but weird things too, like rare dialogue in Animal Crossing or merchandise most people have forgotten about. And sometimes there exists trivia so interesting, it deserves its own video, especially when it comes to Pikmin. Now, I've always felt like Pikmin was a really weird case when it came to trivia or even its beta elements. By far, there's not as much depth to discuss compared to Mario Sunshine or Luigi's Mansion, and Pikmin as a whole often gets overlooked compared to other Nintendo games. However, when I redeemed my childhood failures and beat Pikmin 2 for the first time a few years ago, it became one of my favorite games, and I found myself wanting to learn more about the world. I've looked into content like this before and am familiar with things like the beta-colored bulb orbs and the unused object known as Iwagen, but little did I know that one of my favorite pieces of Pikmin trivia wasn't scrapped or only in the game's code. This secret is actually hiding in the game itself, and I had just never found it. Most people haven't found it for that matter, so today I want to tell you all about it. Let's say you find yourself in the final area of the game, Wistful Wild, and are short on nectar or spray drops. Where do you go to get more? Well, if you happen to be there at the right time, then you could always give the Ujidani a visit. Ujadani appear as little orange bugs that scurry around in swarms of 70 units. Their body has a length of only 5 millimeters, consisting of a bulbous back and scuttling feet underneath. Each one can be attacked individually by Pikmin to obtain large amounts of nectar and spray drops, making them the best source of these supplies in the game. However, as a method of self-defense, Ujidani are able to emit poison gas which can kill non-white Pikmin, as is typically seen in the game. Despite this ability, it seems as though they rarely attack at all, and can be defeated without having any white Pikmin. In fact, if one was to hold a single Pikmin in the middle of the swarm, the Ujidani begin jumping at Olimar, however, are unable to interact with him or the Pikmin. This is a really cool secret to discover, and until I read about these creatures' existence online, there was certainly no way to know these guys were in the game at all, which explains why they elude so many players. The only area of the game Ujidani inhabit are Wistful Wild, and only in 2 specific places, near the entrance to Hole of Heroes and near the gate to Dream Den, though are not always accessible to the player. The Ujidani actually begin appearing on day 1 of the game and continue to regenerate every 30 days. This means players can observe the creatures on day 31, 61, 91, and so on, but are never able to access them on day 1 without hacking, since Wistful Wild is impossible to reach at the beginning of the game. Despite this scarcity, entering and exiting a cave allows them to continuously respawn for that day, meaning you are able to farm dozens of their nectar and sprays. Prior to these discoveries, there was also a claim that stated Ujidani would stop appearing after day 301, but this has since been debunked and they continue to appear. It's believed this stemmed from an old rumor that save files would be deleted after day 300, but this is not the case. On the contrary, if you complete the game before even reaching day 31, you'll also miss them completely, as was the case with my playthrough. In my opinion, the most interesting aspect of the Ujidani aren't the creatures themselves, but rather their treatment in the game. To the surprise of many, Ujidani do not appear in the Piklopedia at all. The game files of Pikmin 2 state that Ujidani are considered obstacles and not enemies at all, which groups them in the same category as Rubble and Nectarweed. So if Ujidani aren't documented in the game, where does their name come from? Interestingly, it's taken from their Japanese e-reader card, which was released as part of the Pikmin 2 set only in Japan. Translated, their name means swarm mite or tick. Similarly, their internal name is Ujamushi and closely resembles the name on the e-reader card. However, their official English name has never been revealed. I've looked through strategy guides and other print material that was released for the game, but was unable to find any mention of their existence. This makes it fun to speculate about what these creatures are supposed to be, or how they fit into the Pikmin world. Unfortunately, my imagination is hampered by the fact that they're treated as obstacles, which implies Nintendo wanted them to be unrelated disposable enemies. However, a couple fun theories exist online, with the most plausible one stating that Ujidani are honey wisp larvae. This is supported by the fact that the honey wisps are known to feed their larvae nectar and sprays, which is exactly what comes out of the Ujidani when they're defeated. Something else I found from a Pikmin forum claims that the flying insects in Pikmin 1 are located in the same spot where the Ujidani appear in Pikmin 2, leading to the theory that the flying insects either became the Ujidani or were food for the Ujidani to live on. I consider this theory a little less likely, however, if we assume Ujidani consume nectar from the honey wisps, and consider the fact that Ujidani have no ability to fly, unless they somehow lost that ability once their food source became the ground nectar, and flying wasn't necessary. It's these little pieces of trivia that really make looking into a game worthwhile, and I'm glad there's always something new to discover, no matter how large or small it might be. When you think of Nintendo franchises that have lost or unused content, Pikmin isn't one that comes to mind very quickly. The series doesn't contain a whole lot of games and is far more recent than many of the other Nintendo franchises that have collected dozens of cancelled projects over the years. For this reason, Pikmin might not be everyone's cup of tea when it comes to lost media or lesser known secrets in general, but it's one of my favorite series to research. One of the coolest facts I discovered was about a hidden enemy in Pikmin 2, called Ujadani, or Swarmite in English. When attacked, the Ujidani generate nectar and spray drops, which are used to enhance Pikmin, though most players finish the entire game without realizing this exists. These creatures only appear in Wistful Wild every 31 days, and are strangely omitted from the in-game Piclopedia. Though, Ujidani aren't exactly lost or scrapped as they do appear in the game, but there are a couple enemies that never made it into the game, including the famous yellow and blue Bulborbs seen in the beta version. It's a rarity though to find information on main characters that were cut from Pikmin since there are so few, but there's a special instance where that happened. It dates back to E3 2012, during the development of Pikmin 3, when a piece of concept art was shown which depicts 4 new characters being planned for the game. From right to left we see Charlie, Brittany, and Alf, who all made it into the final product, but on the far left stands a mysterious figure who never left this piece of concept art and hasn't been seen since. This character is the 4th captain who would have debuted alongside the other captains in Pikmin 3, although it's not clear why he was scrapped or what his role in the game would have been at this time. There's speculation about his omission stemming from the fact that switching between 4 captains would have been too hectic, although this has led to a theory about where he ended up. Under all the captains are letters which correspond to the final names they were given: A for Alf, B for Brittany, and C for Charlie, with the 4th captain having the letter D underneath him. In Pikmin 3, the ship is called the SS Drake, which has led to a popular belief that this character was intended to be named Drake, and was effectively repurposed into the ship. Despite Miyamoto having mentioned 4 captains existing at the game's debut, only 3 are present in the demonstration, so it's likely he never made it into the game as a human. This is kind of a shame, as D would have been a great spiritual successor to Louis, as Alf ended up being for Olimar, but it seems being 4th in line lessened those chances. If you're a Nintendo fan, then I'm sure at one point or another, you've thought about the potential a Nintendo or Super Smash Bros. Anime series could have. You're definitely not alone on that one, as it seems like there's always been a fascination with Nintendo anime, though needless to say, we never really got one to the level people expect. Sure, there was a Fire Emblem OVA from back in the day, Kid Icarus Uprising shorts, and even an F-Zero series, but none of these really cut it in a more traditional sense of what people would expect. As a result, this has spawned many fan interpretations of what a Nintendo anime series could be like, and I'm sure many of you out there have come across these now classic videos at some point. My favorite was always Smash Eater, a parody on Soul Eater Opening 2. But it's these fan-made creations that have partially fueled the mystery for today, as it leaves a lot in the realm of possibilities for what this really is. A few weeks ago, I got an email from a fan named Brittany Pikmin asking me if I knew anything about a Pikmin animation that had been circulating the community for years. The animation is pretty simple, focusing on Captain Olimar and the isolation of being stranded on the distant planet. Soon, the Pikmin find him and offer peace with a flower, where the journey begins as it would in the game, then fades to black, ending the clip. And that's it. Brittany goes on to explain that while the clip ends there, no one actually knows if that's the complete animation. In fact, no one even knows where this came from, if it's official, or why it was made to begin with, and for years only speculation has been made, with the most common theory stating that it was a promotional short for a commercial in Japan. Having watched it a couple more times, I got the feeling that I too had seen this in passing once or twice, but also never questioned its origins. I knew what must be done. I had to research this mysterious Pikmin anime short and figure out where it came from. The search begins with the video I was provided in the original email, an upload from June 2018, Now, this was by no means the source of the animation, as the mystery has been circulating for years, but I thought about looking through the description or some of the comments which might point me in a specific direction. Unfortunately, nothing jumped out as being very useful, although the description does confirm this is a re-upload, which got me thinking about where this guy could have found the video. It seems like this is the only one on YouTube, and even searching Google didn't pull up any alternate video sites like Vimeo, so I decided to translate Pikmin anime into Japanese and search around YouTube that way. This was pretty good thinking, as the second result was a video titled Pikmin Anime and contained the same exact animation. But what wasn't the same was the upload date or view counts. This Japanese upload is dated July 2010 and amassed 2.5 million views. I used the same idea as last time to look through the description and comments of the video for more information, but I noticed the comments were disabled. This means we're losing out on potential information that could have been posted here over the past 10 years, and that's unfortunate. Whatever the case may be though, the description seems to reflect the lack of comments in the sense that there's no specific credit for the animation, and it doesn't seem like this upload is the origin either. Translated, the description roughly reads, "It's a big one, it seems that it was produced overseas." I'm guessing the big one could refer to something about its quality or that Pikmin is Nintendo's property. But that last part is what's really important. Produced overseas. This seems to imply that the uploader of this animation in 2010 has the knowledge to state that its origins are outside of Japan. I wanted a better explanation about what this meant or where he managed to find the animation in the first place, so I left a comment and replied to his most recent activity on the channel months ago. But it seems like he's been active since then, though never responded to me. I'm not sure if he ever will, so for now it's on to the next lead. Once leaving the Japanese upload from YouTube, I had aimlessly searched the internet for any mentions or re-uploads of the video, but after the first couple pages, it started pulling up unrelated things. I needed to narrow in on something specific from the animation that would pull up similar content scattered online. My answer came in the form of reverse image searching. Occasionally this will fail if the image is too low quality or too obscure, which is something I was worrying about here. It's not like there was a promo picture or something like that was used to represent the animation. I had to pick out a screenshot that I thought I could find, on top of the quality not being that great to begin with. It was a real shot in the dark, but the Japanese YouTube upload used the yellow Pikmin holding the flower as its thumbnail, which is pretty distinct. So I searched it up and surprisingly got a couple pages of hits. Soon enough, a re-upload from Japanese video sharing website Nico Nico caught my attention. I clicked the page open and watched the animation to confirm it was the same as all the others, then translated the description with the hopes that this would shed some new light on the topic. Unfortunately, it didn't state anything new, only that the uploader was not the one who created it. I didn't even notice it off the bat, but the video had been uploaded in February of 2012, which was 2 years after the Japanese upload from YouTube. It seems like I was at a dead end, so once again I aimlessly searched around hoping something would just appear, and it kinda did. This led me back to the original YouTube upload Brittany sent me in her email, so I started looking through the comments yet again. This time I found something I missed at the beginning, a thread that needed to be clicked open to view. It was essentially someone asking what the origin was, to which the uploader replied with that common idea that it was used for a Japanese promo. The very last reply in the thread was from someone named Dan, who states rather confidently that the animation was completely fan-made. This claim could easily be hot air or just trying to sound smart, but it could also be the complete truth. His comment was posted 9 months ago, but I still replied to it asking for more information, considering I couldn't find any other way to contact him. He has not replied to me since the making of this video, but he seems to be actively updating playlists on his channel, so maybe he'll eventually see it. This brings me back to another place I visited earlier in this video, the results for the reverse image search. Initially, I didn't click open every result, especially for the pages that seemed unrelated, but this time I did, and a revelation hit me. I ended up clicking open a YouTube link which brought me to a Pikmin animation, though it was unrelated to the topic of this video. This one seemed to be its own origin, which was a Chinese film student who submitted this animation to a film festival. The animation style was pretty comparable to the mystery animation, and I swear I had seen this one in passing back in the day as well. And I probably did, considering its upload date was December 2006. I watched more and more of it, and the puzzle pieces of this mystery started locking into place. My conclusion is that this mystery Pikmin animation is a complete fan work, probably made in the late 2000s during the rise of online flash animation. Now, there have been claims in the past that state this animation was official and released in 2001 as promotion for Pikmin, but there is no evidence to back that up other than the fact that Pikmin itself released in 2001. However, the similarities in art style and quality of animation the two shorts have seem to suggest they were made around the same time. We also know the source of the Chinese short uploaded it in 2006, with the earliest known upload of the mystery short in 2010. Since the mystery short cannot be sourced to 2010, it's likely to have been created sometime before that and puts it closer in relevance to the Chinese one. Historically, we also know that this type of animation was popular in the late 2000s and adds more evidence to the fact that they were made during the same time period. Next, consider the content of the short itself in comparison to other Nintendo commercials or ads. While it's possible there is a continuation to this short, or it extends for longer, the lack of intro and fade to black at the end seem to suggest this is not the case. Nintendo copyrights and logos are also never seen in the animation, which would definitely be present in a commercial. It doesn't even contain anything that outright states this is Pikmin or is promoting the Pikmin game. The quality itself raises another issue since Nintendo's commercials from the 90s look way more accurate and higher quality than this does. I also don't believe Olimar's family is ever seen in Pikmin 1 itself, which would contradict the source material. There is another claim that states this was a pitch pilot for an anime series and could explain why Olimar's family is seen, but that can be debunked with the quality argument. The only part of this mystery that might be impossible to explain is which country it came from. If we take the translated Japanese from the YouTube upload as fact, then it didn't originate in Japan. At the very least, we do have that one comment claiming it was a fan animation, which is more than we have for anyone being able to state with certainty that it came from a commercial. To me, it seems like the commercial theory is one that started as a rumor and snowballed into the general conclusion people make about it. This isn't any different than if the Chinese short was re-uploaded years after the original upload, and people started speculating on where that came from. The same arguments about it being a pilot or an obscure commercial would seem to hold up. I think this is one of those mysteries where spreading awareness is the best way to get it found, especially in the event that it is a fan animation with the original upload having disappeared. If either of those comments I left on YouTube get a reply, they could point us in a better direction. But for now, the mystery of the Pikmin anime will remain just that. The world of video game promo items is a strange yet satisfying world of unique items that never would have been made otherwise. For starters, you have the more traditional pieces that get given away at conventions, like pins or lanyards. They're not the flashiest item to add to a collection, but they're nice and get the job done. Next come the physical items, or at least stuff that can be displayed beyond getting pinned to a bag. Donkey Kong shot glasses, Splatoon water gun, Star Fox Adventures bobblehead, one of my favorites. The list goes on. Then we hit the high tier of promo items that were only available in very limited quantities at specific locations, or in some cases, only created to help promote the game in a unique way. These items include the likes of magazine mail order items very few people have ever seen, employee apparel that rarely ever leaves Nintendo employees, and today's topic, press items, exclusively given out to the press. That means to even have obtained something like this, you had to be working for the press with proper credentials. If you've never seen or heard of press items before, let me introduce you to them, courtesy of Nightram from the Video Game Memorabilia Museum. Here we have the Luigi's Mansion flashlight, based on the original game. Very sturdy looking and comes with a nice little bag to store it in. Next is the fresh spring water that was bottled all the way from Isle Delfino, used to promote Mario Sunshine back in the day. Yes, you could actually drink this water, and I'm sure many people probably did. Both of these items are exceptionally scarce. However, while I think they're really cool and bring the elements of the games they represent to life, I wouldn't say they're as good as another promo item Nightram once owned, an item he got from a member of the press that very few were even able to receive at all. This is a planter that was themed to promote the original Pikmin game by allowing its owner to grow their own Pikmin. The item itself is designed to be a kit, with all the necessary components to growing a Pikmin available inside. The planter is the main component, as it's used to hold the plant itself, colored dark green and printed with the GameCube logo on the front. It also comes with soil, which is used to fill in the planter, and then the seeds, which go in the soil. A pretty standard plant technique, so there's no need to watch out for bubble orbs here. There's even a little book at the bottom which tells the story of the game, though as far as I know, it has never been scanned or posted online. Finally, the entire package is wrapped up with a banner containing Pikmin graphics from the game, and a statement saying, "This is a gift from the Garden of Miyamoto." The seed stick is the final component of the item, which says the seeds are actually daisies and not Pikmin, a little disappointing. Though the stick also contains the date 12/3/01, which indicates this was either an item from E3 of that year, or it was sent to the press around the time of the game's release. Overall, the entire package is really fun, and it does make you feel as if you're growing a real Pikmin. That seems to be a common theme between all of these GameCube promo items, is they did a really great job of bringing a little piece of the game into the real world, and we really don't see this level of creativity anymore. Though, it could be argued that unless you were in the loop back in the day, you wouldn't have seen these either. I can't help but wonder how many of these are still in existence, much less stayed sealed after all these years. As far as I can tell, Nightrem is the only person online to have documented this piece, and if he didn't get his hands on it, no one would have any evidence that it existed. According to his video, which was posted in 2015, Nightrem states he sold the planter on eBay, so who knows where it ended up. While most people won't be able to add this item to their collection, it would be cool if Nintendo recreated the idea and sold Pikmin seeds in game-specific planters. I'll be on the lookout when Pikmin 4 gets announced, but for now, the plushes will have to do. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other game-related Lost Media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.